Good afternoon, sir. I am Harshvardhan Rukhedkar, a B.Tech student in Mechanical Engineering Department. Sir, my question to you is, what does the life of an IFS officer look like, especially in countries like Pakistan or China?
You know, I can tell you secondhand about Pakistan. I've never lived there. I visited there. I lived 4.5 years in China. I can speak with a little more authority. Look, again, you know, there's the good side, there's the side which gets the imagery and the admiration. There's the difficult side. And I'd share very small things which matter a lot. You know, I went, most of my schooling was pretty much done in one school. I lived in Delhi, you know, from the time I was a child till I went to university. I spent in all 2 years out of Delhi. Except for those 2 years, I was in the same school. I spent out of those 15, 18 years, maybe 10, 12 years living in the same place. My people who are my childhood friends, were my adult friends when I went to work. Now, when you do this nomadic life that I'm telling you about, you know, it's not just you. I mean, there's the good side of it. You find it, every time you go to a new place, it's exciting. You read about it. You often, I mean, sometimes you go to the same place twice, you know the region or something. It didn't happen in my case. I did 8 postings, 7 of them were to completely different countries. So often you went to a place which you had only read about in a book, and believe me, I'm a pre-internet age guy, okay? So I didn't even have anything, there was no web for me to check and say, okay, what does the place look like? So you have the, you know, the social restrictions often, that if you live in a society which is not that open, your circle of friends is very different. So it's all business and less social. It can be very disruptive. You know, as I said, I went to one school most of my life. I think my children would have gone to at least 4 or 5. There's one part of it, you know, I was asked an earlier question, what is it like to represent so many people? But there's also the tension, the responsibility, the problems. So it's, if you are in a place, because you gave me 2 examples of 2 very tough relationships, where sometimes something happens between the countries, and that impacts on you, because you are the point person, or you have to deal with it. Or the period when I was in China as ambassador, we actually had a border standoff in Depsang in 2013. We had other issues with them relating to border and so on. So it's a mixed bag. But having said that, I wouldn't have traded it for anything else. You know, it was something which is a kind of a profession, one of a kind. You grow every day. You are actually a very Atmanirbhar person, because you are operating with a very limited systemic support. You think you have a 360 view which you very rapidly develop. So there are a lot of personal qualities. They come with a cost. Often the costs are with the family. But sometimes tough places are very educative. I mean, you mentioned Pakistan and China. I actually spent 2.5 years, 3 years almost in Sri Lanka during the time we had a peacekeeping force, where you know, things were very, very violent. So those are all the ups and downs you got to take, but you know, it's part of what you have chosen. And as I said, at the end of the day, when you represent 1.24, 1.36, it's something which motivates you. Should we?